for joining today. We're excited to have this conversation in the context of the fact that many communities around the world are very well served with the right kind of physical hub space that's necessary to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem, but many of them are not. So we're having a discussion today about building a new generation. What's the next generation of the places that we bring together our communities? And I'm very happy to welcome up to the stage both some Gen leaders in our own Gen Campus program, as well as two experts who are doing this from different perspectives. So I'm going to start with our guests first. So Tim, I'll have you come up, take a seat. That'd be great. Everybody, it's Tim Rowe himself, Cambridge Innovation Center. Been doing this for a long, long time. Please take a seat, Tim. And he'll thank you, Tim, for joining us. And then Robert, are you here? Over here. Please come up and join us. Thanks very much. Great to have you here. Good to see you guys. And then three people that have been the sort of leaders of this from our angle. I'd like to first of all ask Dr. Saba Khan to come up with Gen Bangladesh. Sivan from Turkey. Here you are. Thank you. It's good to have you here. Take a seat. There you go. And then finally, last but not least, our fearless leader in Gen Campus, Kazito from South Africa. Thank you. Well, we appreciate everybody being here. We are sort of accidental entrance into this discussion around how do we provide the right kind of environment to see our entrepreneurs thrive. And it was mostly through the leadership, actually, of Kizito. The Cyril Ramaphosa in South Africa challenged us after the last GEC in Johannesburg. So what's the outcome here? So we asked the participants, what did you need? And they're like, we'd like to physically see what's going on in Johannesburg more visibly. And we didn't have much of an ecosystem tour. Some of you are going to get access to all sorts of great ecosystem tours here in Indiana on Thursday. But Kazito said, well, we'll build a campus. 9 months later, Richard Branson opens a campus with me and Kazito. And now we're 6 years later, and it's thriving and prospering and full. And congratulations to you. But it's set an example for some other communities, including in Turkey, where we'll hear the story of what we're doing in Denzali. And then we're also going to hear about what's about to come in Bangladesh from the chairman of our board and our fearless leader in Bangladesh, Dr. Saba Khan, who is also an extraordinary leader. He's founded Bangladesh Daffodil University, which of course is a massive institution, and has done so many amazing things. So we know that the new campus is going to be a big success. So thank you so much indeed. Tim, I'm going to start with you. Tell us, you got a little bit of the sort of Gen side of this house. Obviously, you had an amazing session on Monday that discussed, all of the ways that we get to the idea of having this environment. But for those people that don't know CIC, tell us let them know a little bit about it and sort of where you're currently and where you're thinking of going. But just have a little bit of background on you.
Great. Thank you very much, Jonathan. And hello, everyone, and welcome. It's exciting to be here talking about startup hubs. As Jonathan mentioned, I'm Tim Rowe. I'm the founder and CEO of Cambridge Innovation Center, or CIC. Of the large innovation hubs, we might be the oldest in the United States. I'm not entirely sure about that, but we're about 25 years old, and we're based originally in Cambridge, Massachusetts. We're now in 10 cities around the world, and we're pretty sure we're the largest startup hub in 5 countries: in the U.S., Germany, Japan, the Netherlands, and Poland. And so we bring today, and what I did on the session on Monday was just really sharing what we think we know about this space. We think it's a powerful way to support innovators. It's one of the tools in your toolbox. By no means is it the only tool. There are lots of great tools, from venture capital to incubation programs and acceleration, to university-based entrepreneurship programs, to mentorship programs. There are many other good ways to support startups, let alone everything that Gen does. Jen or Gen? Am I saying it right? Jen. All around the world to promote knowledge about entrepreneurship. But this notion of innovation hubs is an important tool. And to give you an idea, I'll just tell you a story of one of them. We built a nonprofit innovation hub in the Cambridge area next to MIT called Lab Central. The idea was simply, we have a lot of entrepreneurs in one particular sector, in life sciences there, and why don't we buy all the equipment that they would all want, put it in one building, ask our government to help pay for this, and they did. They gave us initially $10 million and later more money. And we invited all the startup entrepreneurs in that sector to use this equipment and to be around each other. And the numbers are nothing short of staggering. We grew from initially about 2,000 square meters to about 20,000 square meters now. We have a little over 200 life sciences companies there. Notably, about 1/5 of all of the Series A and seed life sciences investment in the United States flows into companies in this one facility at this point. So what we found is that when you build a hub and you do it properly, you have an incredible concentration of investment, and that works well for the startups there. It means that if you're in that field and you go into one of these hubs, investors are more likely to come by and take a look at you. You have peers, you're literally your neighbors, 10 feet away are people who are very interested in what you're doing and can help you and give you introductions to people you might hire, to potential customers. So it just works, and it works really well. And we have now done this in a number of countries around the world, and it works everywhere. This works in big cities, and it works in small cities. And so I don't want to kind of take any more time away from the rest of my colleagues on the panel, but just to say what I think all of us are doing is a model that can be very successful everywhere across the world. I would encourage you to listen carefully to the model and learn what you can. We at CAC, by the way, we now do this. We now help people do this around the world. So if we can be of assistance to you, let me know after the session. I'll close on this one piece of data because I love data. There was a researcher at MIT that asked the question, what drives collaboration? What causes people to work together and to help each other? And they did a simple study where they looked at MIT professors who worked together on a project, either issuing a patent or writing a paper, and physically how far apart their desks were. They just measured the distance between the desks of these professors who had collaborated in either a research paper or a patent. And what they found was that almost all of the collaboration was within about 100 or 200 meters. The desk distance of 100 or 200 meters, there was a lot of collaboration. When you got out to about 600 or 700 meters, there was no more collaboration, zero. They looked at this a lot of different ways, and I can share the data later if you're interested. But basically, what it means is that people collaborate when they're close to each other. That's what these hubs are about. This is about physicality. This is about an actual building or a couple of buildings next to each other, and there is an incredible power to the physical closeness. It leads to relationships being built. It leads to trust between the members of the community, and that leads to people taking the risks that they need to take in order to be effective entrepreneurs. So. Thank you very much for the opening little moment. That's what this is about, and we have some incredible examples on the stage.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tim. So let's move, if we can. Asu, so your experience with this, how is this different to what Tim said? Did you measure the distance between the desks before you guys got started?
I can't agree more with everything. Tim just summarized what I want to think, so we can just close the panel and go home, guys. Yeah, I can't agree more. Infrastructure, universities, and governmental support. These are the three things. This is the recipe. If you got these three things, you can build an ecosystem. Because when you have a good universities, you can create talent, and then you need government that understand that, how to make it easier for companies to come, how to make it easier for multinational, and to help incentivize the entrepreneurs to start building companies. And then you need the physical space. You need where people together. So in our case, I'm coming from Israel. I'm representing the Palestinian community inside Israel. We are like, for those who don't know, Palestinian community inside Israel, 20% of the population. Israel is very well known for the tech ecosystem, but unfortunately, the Arab society and the Palestinian society are not part of it for many years, for many reasons. And we came to understand that 11 years ago. So we started as a grassroots movement, and we started to do a lot of it. We didn't have the physical space, so we started to do it all across the country, just event after event after event. And we just saw how people hungry for it. So people kept coming. People wanted to learn more. People wanted to get together, wanted to build more technology and to become entrepreneurs. And after many years of doing all these meetups and events and hackathons and acceleration programs, we understood that we must start building the infrastructure. So we took a building that was built in 1940 and was totally abandoned. And we came here to the US, we started raising some money, and we renovated this building, turned it from the backyard of that village to become the first innovation center of its kind for the Arab society. And then after that, this place today is full of talent, full of startups, investors. We do our annual conference that brings thousands of people. And so this is exactly what Tim was talking about. This is the recipe. And I think if more and more places just really put these things together and put the place where people can come together, we'll be able to build more and more hubs around.
Okay. Great. We're going to go around the thing, but I got a question for each of you, so we're just going to start. So let's go all the way to the end of Turkey first. Tell us a little bit about what really drove. I remember when we began with the idea of this, there was a plan to go across the country. What drove this? Was it that you had sponsors that wanted to do something? Was it that you had communities? Or was it, as in, Tim's case, for example, there was an appreciation of an opportunity to accelerate innovation through this model? They'll make it work.
It's working, okay. Gen Turkey is really like an umbrella and collaborating and partnership with most impactful and influencing Turkish business associations, the biggest ones, and it's collaborating with universities, associations, organizations, and it's like an umbrella, and Gen Campus is really playing a critical role in growing entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey. In 2022 October, we settled Gen Campus, and since October 2022, its impact is great. We already touched 600 startups and 3,000 entrepreneurs, and 60 of them get fundraised from the VCs and angel investors. And these investors are the most important investors in Turkey. Many projects, for example, there is a company called Norby, got investment from Ali Sabancı or other important VCs. So we are very impact on building the community, and we also launched different activities and programs like capacity building programs, investor meetups, early stage entrepreneurs and investors we met together. Also for the late stage entrepreneurs, we organized a startup huddle program. We have accelerator programs, boot camps, networking activities, open house meetings. We have already launched 3 open house meetings, and we have mentorships programs, not only fundraised, also the startups co-founders get good mentorships from the most successful Turkish entrepreneurs, We really trying to grow the ecosystem, entrepreneurship ecosystem in Turkey. And our Gen Campus is a very beautiful and different space already. We have open innovation zone where entrepreneurs can work all together. We have pitch stages. We have quiet rooms where can entrepreneur also work alone. We have event areas for hackathons, meetups, open house meetings, and for many other things. So it's modular, open, and community-driven place. And we have different also educational topics beyond theory. We have design thinking, problem validation, storytelling lessons, leadership, negotiations, no-code tool program course. I mean, blockchain fundamentals, generative AI, many things an entrepreneur can learn and develop their skills. And also, we have also a workshop for psychology, because education part, it's also include the elements of psychology, mindset, emotional resilience, self-awareness is just also important as for success. So we believe that work life also is a psychological battle. So managing your mind and emotions is very important. Keeping your inner balance is very important, is one of the key. So we want to raise high energy and no fear entrepreneurs, because we believe that they will be successful in globally. So we want to them use their full potential, and we know that the brain receives with high energy, so they can become more creative, stay active, and the brain functions better. So we have organizing events and workshops to help entrepreneurs awaken their inner power also, and they stay balanced. So we have NLP trainings, we have breathing exercises, and also practical workshops with life coaches also we include in Gen Campus. So we believe that all together can help entrepreneur to be successful. So as I said, Gen Turkey is really playing important organization right now in Turkey. It's very popular, and it's collaborating with biggest associations. And Gen Campus is really playing a critical role, and we are very happy to being a part of Gen family and being a part of Gen organization. So thanks so much.
Thank you. Great. Well, congratulations on everything that's been built there. It's tremendous. And Kazito, maybe just very briefly, since maybe the 22 on Sloan story is maybe one of the most famous ones, most better known ones. Give us a little bit of context beyond what I said. So a little bit of background on what's working at 22 on Sloan.
I think maybe, Jonathan, I would say what hasn't worked at 22 on Sloan, you know. I think launching in 2017, during when the president made a call to say what else post the Global Entrepreneurship Congress. And my discussion with you was, we want a campus, people want a campus. And I think the challenge we faced then was getting buy-in from the local stakeholders, from private, public sector, because everyone looked at the cost of doing this thing. It was around $6 million to put it together, and no one wanted to commit. And I think we chatted about it and we said, let's just do it. We'll find the money somewhere, right? So I think then we launched 22 on Sloan in 2017, and then we all know COVID happened. And COVID, there was a challenge to say, do we scale down? Because we have a 10,000 square meter campus, and no one was in the building during COVID. So we wanted to actually scale down and have something smaller and so on, but we held on. And I must say, for the first time this year, we reached 100% occupancy at 22 on Sloan, right? For the first time since 8 years that we launched. And And I must say, what has worked is the partnership we've had with private and public sector. I think the support we've received from them over the years, because I think what we picked up was that they wanted us to start something. They wanted to see that you are doing something first before coming to them for support. And I think that was what we learned in the process, to say, start this, do it. And then private sector and public sector came on board. We received big support from our government, South African government. We received big support from our private sector partners, especially our anchor partner, African Bank. I think they're here. So, and with all the other partners that we have, and what has also worked is the team, building the right team around Sloan, using this team then to support the startups, to support the SMEs, and to grow operationally the campus. I think we've had success, that we've had very good team members, but also we've lost a few of them in the process because we couldn't retain some of them because we are competing with large corporates that have deep pockets and can easily remunerate more than we can. So I would say the private-public sector partnership has worked, and having the right team is something that has worked. Yeah.
Thank you. So I know we've done a soft launch already, but so tell us where we are. Describe what we're doing in Bangladesh, in Dhaka. It's working.
Okay, so thank you, Jonathan. I think as we experienced from 22 on Sloan, and at the same time, luckily I visited the Turkey one, the Istanbul. I think when GEC is held in the Istanbul, so I visited their places. So one of the key thing I should say in Bangladesh aspect, we are very confident that we will be doing very good because we are well connected with the university. As you already understood, because university in 2012, we started the Innovation and Entrepreneurship Department. So from the department and this, the GEN activities, especially the Global Entrepreneurship Week, so all developing of the all ecosystem, one fantastic component we developed last 6 years. Every 4 years, every quarter, we organize a startup market. So we invite to all of the startup, especially those who are in the university student. So through this startup market, we find that unbelievable successful. Because from the startup market, I think when they get the confidence, they are understanding with their 3 to 4 days business culture, I think very easily they can come out as an entrepreneurial mindset and start their business. And secondly, I should say that we started 7 years back. We developed one entrepreneurship development fund, which we call the EDF fund. It's nothing, no interest, nothing, no service charge. It's only the commitment that the entrepreneur, the startup will get this fund, but they must back this fund in tech. So we will not carry any loss, but we'll give them mentorship, what exactly everyone is already mentioned, so I don't like to repeat this one. We're giving them all sorts of facilities. So now as a GEN campus, we are planning to involve all of this ecosystem, what exactly we experience. And between this time, we also made one plan. We can try to make a, boot camp. Because we understood some of the entrepreneurs, because maybe they are not student of the entrepreneurship department, maybe they are studying in the other department, but they have the intention to become an entrepreneur. So these sorts of people, if we can organize this 3 months boot camp, I think that will be giving the more strong foot point for become the entrepreneur. Between this time, we successfully launched one boot camp, and we found that it is very successful. Almost 80% people is after the boot camp, they already started their business. And yesterday, I think in one of the GW, I think we are in the nominee, you show the parents, one of the audience of the parents. So this is the first time, I think in our university, we took one initiative. We invite to all of the parents, those who are interested to develop their kids to become an entrepreneur. And it's amazing, 3,500 parents join in the program in the Global Entrepreneurship Week. It's a new experience for me also, because this is the first time I took this risk that let's invite the parents and see how they react. So it is very amazing that parents feel confident and they are eager to send their son and daughter to become an entrepreneur. So now I hope that what is the necessity now to make our GEN campus successful? As everyone is mentioned that public sector, there is government need to be involved, financial sector need to be involved. So we are happy that Bragg Bank, that one of the largest bank, I think this additional managing director is also present here. I think we are lucky that this is one of the largest bank. They already made agreement with Gen Bangladesh. They will help us and they will help the startup, those who will be coming, and I think the funding and other thing. And between this time, I'm very happy that just 2 days back, our annual budget is already declared. And I'm very happy that I saw that our government is also took initiative in the new budget. They are also keeping few $1 million for the young startup. So I think that this is another great news for our future Gen campus to be successful, because as the government is also officially, they are already now allocate the fund for the startup. So considering education and all other component, and I am sure that all of the best practices, I already visited the CIC and I found that it's really good, and especially the Tokyo Center, I found that their activities is really amazing. So these sorts of best practices, if we can bring together, and at the same time, I think that our 2201 Sloan friend is already mentioned that they faced some problem in the COVID time. So now they already overcome and 100% occupancy is done. So these sorts of best practices, if Gen Global is already considering and bringing the Gen campus one by one, I'm sure that it will be another great, I think, this organization in near future, as you have the 200, more than 200 countries operation. So I'm quite sure that this all 200 countries will be also representing the Gen campus in future, and we'll be love to share our experience, our model, our software, our artificial intelligence involvement, and a lot of other practices what we are doing. So that's all. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, give them all a round of applause, because they're all entrepreneurs. Let me carve in a few things here. I want to try to work out. I don't think there's disagreement, but if there is, speak up now. But if there isn't, we can start from an assumption, which is each of you, I think, have said is that it takes these partnerships. That if you've got the government blessing and support, you've got those partnerships. Those are the key components. You all agree, is that correct? And universities being the third. Let me just follow up on the universities question. How important are universities to this equation? I know you said earlier that, well, the university is important because they bring the talent, okay? And there's a little thinking out there that, I remember at the Kauffman Foundation, we did something called the Kauffman Campus Project, where we gave $50,000 challenge grants to universities across America to tell us how do we put entrepreneurship in every discipline on campus. So we learned in that exercise that universities were not unto themselves the right places for us to foster entrepreneurship. There were too many complexities. Just looking at how you give grants to people like MIT, it's very, very complicated. Okay. So the question is, what's the optimal role of a university? Just very quick comment from one or two of you, but we'll start, if we can, with Israel.
Yeah. So when I talk about universities, I talk about the place where you go, you start your research, you learn how to research, and then a talent develops there, but universities alone is not enough. Mm-hmm. You need the private sector, that when the talent at the university graduates, he directly goes to the accelerator, but not the accelerator we all know. It's the tech company to work in.
Right.
And then the fact that this student studied in a good university, maybe did his BA or master's or PhD, and then got some entrepreneurship skills along the way, maybe through some programs, but again directly went to work in the best companies in the frontier of technology.
Yep.
This will help this will help them create the next technologies, and that's it. Universities are so essential, so great, and so important, but it's not enough.
Okay, I'm going to come to you, Tim, in a minute on this question very quickly, because I want to make sure, for the purposes of this discussion, we're talking about the actual campus being successful. I'm not just referring to the overall ecosystem. I think we know there's got to have various components in any innovation ecosystem to make it work. But as far as the model for your campus working, we, for example, began developing an idea in Egypt for a Gen campus in Egypt. And the investors all said, it's only going to work if we have university labs, 6 university labs surrounding the Gen campus, and we're building it from scratch, okay? Is that important? Well, do you need universities in your campus?
Yeah, well, our Cambridge, Massachusetts campus is in a building owned by MIT.
Okay.
We're across the street, and it's hugely valuable. But you can build it without a university too. So let me just say it this way. Universities are very valuable. They're one of the attractors that helps you concentrate talent, bring ideas. Those are all the kind of key resources you need. If you have a strong university that's willing to be a partner and you locationally can work with them, you should. There's no question. But the main thing you're trying to do is concentrate entrepreneurs in a physical place. And there might be other ways you can pull that off. So, for example, in Tokyo University, which is the best known and probably strongest university, most Nobel Prizes in the area, is in an area of town that actually doesn't have literally any space for startups. It's a very dense, kind of old neighborhood. There just wasn't a place to do it.
A little bit like in Massachusetts.
Yeah, well, next to MIT there was. So it depends on where you are. But,
Okay.
but in Tokyo, really not. And so we went to a very central location in the city, Toranomon. It's the geographic center of the city, tall office towers, right next to actually the ministries, which in Japan are very important for getting things done. And it's the largest startup campus in Japan now. It's wildly successful. It's full, just like yours at 22 on Sloan. So that worked. So
Yeah.
I would just leave you with, you don't have to have the university, but you do have to have a reason for everyone to come together there. And university is one of the easiest tools to get people to come together.
Right. But you have to have talent or there's no point in the first place. Right. Kazito, add something on this?
Thanks. I also want to add to that. I think when we were about to start Sloan, there was that thought process that was we needed to locate close to a university. And I think for us, we didn't find a location because it's, like you said, it's all about concentration of talent, concentration of entrepreneurs, concentration of support structures around them. So then we ended up locating somewhere else. And the partnership we have with universities now is more of immersion, where universities are bringing executive leaders to come into our campus, immersing themselves in our startup ecosystem. And there are reverse mentoring that actually takes place there, and some partnerships, because some of these executives are coming from large corporates, and then they're coming to meet our startups, and then there is that exchange that happens. But like my colleague said, I think it's all about having an ecosystem where you have it's like setting up a restaurant. You don't want to go set it up in a remote area that no one will come. You want to set it up at a mall, closer to an area where people will converge together and so on. So,
Location. Yeah, fair enough. So
I have a shorthand, a tool for everybody. Go find your 10 entrepreneurs in your area that you think are going to build the biggest new companies, the most likely to succeed next, right? Not the ones that are already big, but the ones that are going to be next. And ask them to color in on a map where they would most likely to put their next startup, and then overlap those maps. And you'll find there's a neighborhood or a street corner where everyone wants to be. That's where you should be. And that may be next to a university, but you might discover for your city, it's somewhere else.
Yeah. Let me shift here a little bit. So, okay, go on.
I think involving the university, one of the benefit, because as our experience I just share with all of you, because we organize one lecture series in every month or every 2 months. So we inviting all of the successful entrepreneurs in the country. Usually, they always prefer to come to the university. They always like to talk with the entrepreneurial-minded student. So involving with the university, with the Gen campus, I think it will give in the more powerful tools because of the utilizing the lab facility also. Because you see that in one of our department, on test 2 years back, we started the capstone project. It's Department of Telecommunication Engineering. And we found that after implementing the capstone project, majority of the students coming as an entrepreneur, because whole 1 year they are already involving with the technological innovation, utilizing the lab facility. So I hope that if Gen Campus or these sorts of system, if we can involve with the university as much as possible, the success rate will be also very much.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, and by the way, if you haven't been to Daffodil University, let me stress you have to check it out. It's amazing. I wanted to just point out, let's shift a little bit because let's face it, there's been an explosion of, I'll just call them hubs, shared workspaces, whatever you want to call it. And there was a lot of confusion, I think 10 or 15 years ago, about what we're doing. Everybody was a new entrant into this startup world, and they wanted to get involved. And for some people, getting involved meant space was a physical thing to do it. But let's just think about, because there were incubators, there are WeWorks, there are executive office suites, there are all these sort of variations of this concept. As we look as individuals looking to massively accelerate the rate of new firm formation through the concept of a campus, what do you think are the most important things, and what are the things we have to be careful to maybe not prioritize? And I'm going to kick it off with a couple of quick thoughts here, because how much of this is about providing space? How much of this is about what Tim talked about to do with you want to have accidental collaboration among people? Because if it's that, then what matters is who you got in there. You know, I once went to Oman, and I shouldn't have said Oman because I'm going to say a critical, but there was a campus, a building, and it was empty. And they said to me, we don't know what to do. Knowledge. And I said to them, well, you know what you need to do? You need to have a startup competition, and you can't get in this building unless you win. So you slowly get people wanting to go there because they want to be next to other talent. So let's first of all pick on that one. It's who you've got in the building that really matters. Is that a critical factor? Is that important? I'll have you all comment on this one. So Tim, go
just
first.
very quickly, absolutely, it's the biggest. It's the only thing.
It's the only thing.
So if you're Harvard University and you copied the physical campus in another country, brick by brick, exact copy,
Yeah.
but you didn't have the professors and you didn't have the students, would that be a world-leading university? No.
Yep.
The bricks and mortar are great, but it's who's inside that is the entire game.
Okay.
Exactly, 100%. It's the people. No one wants white elephants. This was like the thing when we started to build the building, our campus. It was like, but we built our campus after like almost 8 years of building a community. And then it was a place for the community. And we kept bringing people on. So it's mainly about the people and the collaborations. Always, like, this is another point that I wanted to touch in this panel, connectivity and the global exposure. No campus, doesn't matter where it is, can survive alone. In entrepreneurship, you need to be connected to the global world, to be connected to the big markets. So always, and that's what I always say about our organization, that we are an ecosystem builder organization, that we connect our campus locally and globally. And I will give it just an example. I had to visit also CIC last year. 3 years ago, I was in MIT. I was in Boston for a study tour, and I had a chance to meet the executive director of the MIT Sandbox. And 2 years later, we collaborated and we took 10 startups from our community to be for 2 months in Boston. So you start local and you take them globally, and this is the thing.
Fantastic.
Can I
Talent.
just- go ahead.
There's no dispute on the talent question. But if we start with that, then should you be building around what volume and type of talent that you think your ecosystem is going to need? Is that a criteria? Or should you be doing a little bit like what the French did in Paris with Station F? You know, the concept was a little bit more around, let's build it and they'll come, and we'll bring the people into the building who can bring the talent. So talk to me about design concept. I mean, supposing I'm trying to build something for 2035, okay? Should it still be built around what I expect to achieve with my talent? Should I not even think about doing it until I've got excessive demand for talent?
Don't overthink it. It takes
Okay.
a long time to build these, 3, 4, 5 years sometimes, especially with government funding. Pick a great location. If the government wants you to put it in a bad part of town because they have a cheap building, probably don't do that because the entrepreneurs probably don't want to come.
Right.
You know, push to be in a great central location, and it'll happen.
Kizito, you went through that, didn't you?
And I think it's something that happened in South Africa. I think government identified a location, say, why not do it here? We're like, we don't think it's going to work, but let's start here. But eventually they came around, which we are appreciative of. But I think for the campus, it's all about who you have in there, but also who knows that you exist, right? Because what we started doing is we started bringing in key players in the ecosystem into our space, inviting them to come speak to startups, getting them to become mentors, having our weekly events, our weekly pitches, and so on, having ministers come in, having CEOs, executives come into the building, and so on. So I think it's also about who knows you exist and who is also willing to help. And just like Rabia said, the collaboration is very important. People knowing you exist, people keen to collaborate with you, because the startups, the SMEs are also looking for that. They want to know that you are well networked, that you can point them in the right direction if they need help. So people need to know you exist, and important people.
Dinzali, do we have a...
We did a survey and we asked why you want to come, what's your first motivation to come to campus. So the first one was people come to see the people better than them. I mean, so in order to attract the most talented entrepreneurs in the community, we bring important and impactful business leaders, ecosystem builders. So because people come to see very successful people and trying to learn something from them. So campuses like Gen campuses is like a bridge between all different ecosystem parts, like students, business leaders, policymakers, ecosystem builders. So, but especially try to get the most talented entrepreneur. We always invite and gather the most successful and impactful entrepreneurs and business leaders in the activities, organizations, and events.
Thank you. I'm going to ask one question, and I'm afraid I'm going to turn over to Tim here to facilitate a couple of questions from the audience in the last 5 minutes, because I have to go back up on the stage. But I did want to just ask you this question, because Tim, you know, obviously Gen is a global network, but you know, CIC, you take a global view of this. And by the way, if you didn't get to participate in Tim's workshop on Monday, it's all available online, and I encourage you to take a look at it and to follow up, because these guys are the world leaders in this. And I think we should collaborate more in how we help each other here, because we've got the same common mission here. But I just want to ask about this global part, because a lot of people tell me, you know, what we're doing with innovation ecosystems is ultimately local. So how much of this is local, and how much does it matter to your, I'm going to call them customers, okay, because whoever they are, but shall I say the vibe and the energy that you want to try to create that's going to make people want to go there, make people actually work out of there late at night, want to love being there, collaborate with each other. How much of that is because there's any kind of potential of global connectivity?
So that's a kind of a layup of a question, but thank you, Jonathan. So I think most of us would agree that to be a successful business today, you need to have global customers, at least a startup growth, you know, tech business, right? And you know, there are a few countries like the United States that are big enough that you can kind of survive for a little while there locally, but most countries, you know, even a country like Japan, which is half the population of the United States, their companies are not successful unless they go global. So you know Sony and Honda and Toyota, but you don't know the Japanese companies that only sold to the Japanese market, and they generally were replaced by a global company in the same category that came in and dominated in Japan. So even if you're at that size, you have to be global. So what these companies need to do is figure out fairly quickly how to start selling what they're selling, you know, all over the world. That means that they need to be operating in a global sphere, probably in English. They need to be building connections with many countries quickly. It used to be that you could grow your business for 5 or 10 years in your country and then think about going globally. Everything's moving far, far faster than that. If you do that, there's going to be a global company that's doing the same thing that shows up on your doorstep with more funding, more scale, you know, more evolved software, et cetera. So there's no question here. You basically need to bridge in some fashion to the major markets, and in some cases, many markets very quickly for these young companies. So an opportunity for all of us is that we work together, and I think that's maybe what's in your mind as you think about this stage. We're not in South Africa, we're not in Turkey, we're in many places, but we're not in Israel. There are possibilities. We're not in Bangladesh. So our door is open, and I think also your doors can be open to each other, right? I mean, Israeli companies famously go all over the world. I don't think it's any exception if you're Palestinian or Israeli, if you want to be successful. And so, I would hope that both this panel becomes kind of the beginning of a conversation about how to open more of those doors.
I'd love to pick that up. I'm going to let us either take just 2 questions from the audience for a minute, and then I'm going to, as I lead. But before I go, I just want to say one last thing. We could have had 5 hours on this. I also had the head of Google for Startups with me earlier. We talked a lot about the Google campuses, and he was emphasizing the same thing. He's looking for transmission across different campuses. They don't have to be Google. They don't care about brand. And then we also, of course, had Techstars with us. We've got David Cohen and looking at the network that they have. So I love this idea, Tim. I was hoping you might pick up on that because I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to collaborate. And by the way, achieve excellence through, for example, the experience that you've got in how we actually do this really well. Coming back to my comments on Monday where I was challenging everybody to say we've got to be better at what we do as an industry in every aspect of how we do this. I really hope that this can be a learning experience, and as we say, all boats rise on an incoming tide. So thanks so much indeed. I appreciate it. Questions from the audience, I guess, go ahead.
Hi there. My name is Marcel. I'm an investor. I'm with the European Business Angel Network, and I've worked with a couple of startup ecosystem. And Tim, I think all of you mentioned something common. It's about PPP. I think that is absolutely an amazing statement for the audience to take away. You have to have the public taking the initiative and private to come in and do that magic. So just FYI, Station F, 1,000 startup under one roof, 34,000 square meters, and today 34 unicorns in France. So that works. I'm going to go to a small country like Tunisia, Innovation City in Sousse. It's basically a government, land, and design, build, and operate. And an AI campus and robotics is going to be built there. Right now I live in Qatar, and that's where I'm asking the audience. We have Qatar Scientific Technology Park, 120,000 square meters. State of the art. You talked about connectivity, Rabia. And yet, it's empty. So my question to you, to all of you, could you share with us what is that magic? Is it a state of mind? Is it collaboration? Is it a vision? Is it execution? I would really love each one of you to throw in, without a big sentence, just what worked, that you can actually gel things to help these guys to move on. Thank you.
Yeah, so in some ecosystems, like the ecosystem just started to be established gradually. So there's a university, there's another company, and then another company, and this is how Silicon Valley was built. This, I think, Boston was built, and in a place like Qatar, and we just spoke here about like white elephants, like big innovation centers that no one's come to it. So I think, like, my humble suggestion here, my humble advice here, there was a crazy program in China, I think, in Shenzhen a couple of years ago, that they tell startups, come here for 3 years, everything is funded, housing, you will get, if you have a company, come here, we'll provide you with everything, funding, housing, and everything. And for countries like Qatar, which is like a small, very, very, very small market, it's not a market, all the entrepreneurs will come there and will operate in a bigger market. I think this is the only way to get them there, like just to give them an easy way to start, and an incentive that because when you are small, when you want this to get started, you need such an incentive, and Qatar has the had the money and had the power to do it. So this is my 2 cents in that.
I want to say something. Saudi Arabia, right? I didn't know they play soccer. I didn't even know they had clubs, football clubs. And what they've done now is to build an ecosystem around it, bring in prominent European players trying to build this sector, right? And I think that is what makes an ecosystem. It's all about understanding that it has to be built. It's not enough to put up a structure. The key thing is always going on the ground, on the grassroots, and building. And you can do it with money, you can attract talent, you can attract investors, you can do all those things. And it could be one of the ways. But the key thing is that it's not enough to put up a 120,000 square meter space. It has to be built. You need to build it, just like Saudi Arabia is building their football ecosystem. I'm facilitating a panel next that I have to run. Is it okay?
Sure. Please run. And any other answers to this question?
My suggestion is that all of the component you already mentioned, it is needed to establish this venture, but of course leadership is important. Who will take the lead? Because someone come to the forward. Because if government is taking the initiative, making the policy, but if there is no leader who will lead it, it cannot be possible. Like you see, if we consider the CIC, I'm sure the team is already taking the initiative. If we consider the Gen Global, I think Jonathan Othman is taking the initiative. So the person is who will lead this, that one the important. Because all other component is, of course, it will be vice versa also important.
So we put together a list of, now I think it's 16 levers to pull to make a center like that successful. And I heard 3 of them today. I heard leadership. I heard that you need to really have the right kinds of programs to gather the right kinds of people. There's one more lever and I heard money. I mean, you can offer money to the startups. There's one more that you could think about, which is if you specialize in a narrow area. So we have some cases where there are smaller cities that have become very successful in something because they became the best in the world or the best in the region at that one particular thing. If you think about it, Hollywood now is, of course, the capital of movies in the whole world. But there was a moment when there were no movies made in Hollywood and they didn't know what a movie was, right? And then someone said, gee, I'll build a studio here. And then there was a second studio. And then it became the accepted center. So there are some new technologies coming in the world. And I think a place like Qatar could think about picking one of those technologies. And it can't be something like AI. It's too broad because everyone's doing it. It has to be much narrower than that. There are some specialized kinds of investments they could make to really make it a better place for the entrepreneurs. You should start with the assumption that entrepreneurs are really smart and they make rational decisions. And so you have to convince them that this is the best place in the world for them to come if they're not already in Qatar or living there with their family, and very few are. And it's doable, but it's a high bar. It's definitely not just building the building. I think we have time for maybe one more question from the audience. Yes, ma'am.
Hello. So this is not really a question. I was just thinking, a lot of universities, like the one I work with, IUSB, Indiana University, South Bend, already have initiatives around building co-working spaces for young startups, student entrepreneurs. So what do you think would be like the best fit into what you're already doing to encourage those young adults who are trying to become entrepreneurs while they are still students before they go into the labor market, into starting their own businesses, like build a safe nest for them by replicating what you already have, outside of the campus? Because a lot of times we are not trying to replicate what already exists outside of campus, on campus, but we are trying to create safe nest for our students to become entrepreneurs and be able to understand the mechanisms of how this space works. So how do you see the intersection between what you are already doing off campus and what we can be doing better on campus?
So I think I heard in the question a little bit about both best practices for university incubators and innovation hubs and how they can relate to our kind of hub. I see people getting a little nervous because people are coming in, but I'll quickly say university innovation support facilities are amazing. Every university should do it. It is a soft landing, if you will, or a soft start for university students to think about doing startups. There's nothing, you can't possibly do that wrong. So just, jump in. There are some universities that do it particularly well. I think Harvard does really well with their iLab. You could look at their programs and learn from them, and there may be some other examples on stage. We love people coming out of those programs into our innovation centers. I think probably all of us do. It's a great flow, a great source, if you will, of the next generation of entrepreneurs. Does anyone want to add anything to that?
So, just a short thing. So, usually these programs and the innovation centers inside campuses just give you the idea that, okay, there's another way, there's another path. You don't need, it's not only that you are going to become an employee, you can also be an entrepreneur. And give you also the terminology. You start speaking the terminology very early on. You start understanding the steps of becoming an entrepreneur, what need to be done so you can avoid making the mistakes. Usually people, researchers in universities do a lot of mistakes when they want to go and do the tech transfer, take their IP to become entrepreneurs. So usually these places, like innovation centers, should focus on equipping the students with this important knowledge, and as Tim just said, then to send them to the other places where they can take it forward. So it's an very, very important start, so people can move on.
Fantastic. I think we'll call it. Is that okay? Without our fearless leader, I think we have to do it ourselves. Thank you very much for coming, and we're all here if you want to come up and ask questions after the session.